Welcome back. Today we are dissecting the latest numbers from Manappuram Finance Limited, a big name in gold loans and microfinance.
Absolutely. Manappuram Finance, headquartered in Valapad, Thrissur, Kerala, is a prominent non-banking financial company or NBFC. They are primarily known for their gold loans, but also have significant interests in microfinance through their subsidiary Asirvad Microfinance, Vehicle and Housing Finance, and SME lending. Other subsidiaries include Manappuram Home Finance, Manappuram Insurance Brokers, and Manappuram Comtech and Consultants.
Alright, so they've released their audited financial results for the fourth quarter and the full financial year ended March 31st, 2025. These results were approved by the Board of Directors in their meeting on May 9th, 2025. We'll be looking at both their consolidated and standalone figures today.
That's right. It's important to look at both to get a full picture of the parent company's health versus the entire group, including its subsidiaries.
Let's kick off with the consolidated financials. How did Manappuram Group perform in Q4 FY25 on the revenue front, comparing it year over year and quarter over quarter?
Okay, for the fourth quarter ended March 31st, 2025, Manappuram Group's consolidated revenue from operations stood at 2,359.73 crore rupees. Comparing this year over year, it's a slight increase from the 2,348.10 crore rupees they reported in Q4 FY24.
And sequentially compared to Q3 FY25?
Sequentially, revenue from operations saw a decrease. In Q3 FY25, which ended December 31st, 2024, it was 2,559.72 crore rupees, so a dip from the previous quarter.
Now, looking at the full financial year FY25 for consolidated revenue.
For the full financial year 2025, consolidated revenue from operations was 10,040.76 crore rupees. This is a healthy increase compared to the 8,848.01 crore rupees in FY24. So, a good annual growth in revenue.
Interesting. Let's move to profit before tax or PBT on a consolidated basis for Q4. EBITDA isn't directly stated, so PBT will be our proxy here.
The consolidated profit before tax for Q4 FY25 actually shows a loss. It came in at a negative 235.88 crore rupees. This is a significant downturn compared to a profit of 745.54 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
Wow, a loss at the PBT level. And quarter over quarter for PBT?
Quarter over quarter, it's also a sharp decline. In Q3 FY25, the PBT was a profit of 376.06 crore rupees. So moving from a profit to a significant loss sequentially.
And for the full year FY25, the consolidated PBT?
For the full year FY25, the consolidated PBT stood at 1,665.64 crore rupees. This is down from 2,959.51 crore rupees in FY24. So a considerable drop in annual PBT as well.
This leads us to the bottom line, consolidated profit after tax or PAT. What are those figures for Q4?
The consolidated PAT for Q4 FY25 is also a loss, standing at negative 203.18 crore rupees. This compares to a profit of 563.51 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And the sequential PAT for consolidated results?
Sequentially, it's down from a profit of 278.47 crore rupees in Q3 FY25.
What about the full year consolidated PAT for FY25?
For the full year FY25, consolidated PAT was 1,203.88 crore rupees, which is a decrease from 2,197.48 crore rupees in FY24.
And how does this translate to earnings per share or EPS on a consolidated basis?
The consolidated basic EPS for Q4 FY25 was negative 2.40 rupees, down from 6.66 rupees in Q4 FY24 and also down from 3.29 rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, the EPS was 14.22 rupees, a decrease from 25.96 rupees in FY24.
Any significant movements in other income for the consolidated entity?
Consolidated other income for Q4 FY25 was 3.52 crore rupees, down from 14.12 crore rupees in Q4 FY24, but slightly up from 2.91 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, it was 34.18 crore rupees, down from 72.08 crore rupees in FY24.
Now let's switch gears to the standalone financials, just Manappuram Finance Limited itself. How did the parent company fare in terms of revenue from operations in Q4?
For the standalone entity, revenue from operations in Q4 FY25 was 1,738.90 crore rupees. This is up from 1,507.83 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And quarter-over-quarter for standalone revenue?
Sequentially, standalone revenue decreased from 1,798.71 crore rupees in Q3 FY25.
And for the full year FY25, standalone revenue?
For the full year FY25, standalone revenue from operations was 6,906.35 crore rupees, up from 5,829.91 crore rupees in FY24. So strong annual growth here.
What about the standalone profit before tax for Q4?
Standalone PBT for Q4 FY25 was 550.26 crore rupees. This is slightly down from 560.29 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And sequentially for standalone PBT?
Sequentially, PBT was down from 612.13 crore rupees in Q3 FY25.
For the full year FY25, what was the standalone PBT? And I recall there might be an exceptional item here.
Yes, for the full year FY25, the standalone profit before tax was 2,395.59 crore rupees. This includes an exceptional item gain of 19.78 crore rupees. This PBT is up from 2,221.62 crore rupees in FY24, which did not have such an item. Without the exceptional item, the PBT for FY25 would be around 2,375.81 crore.
Got it. So standalone profit after tax for Q4?
Standalone PAT for Q4 FY25 was 414.34 crore rupees, which is down from 428.32 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And quarter-over-quarter for standalone PAT?
Sequentially, it's also down from 453.39 crore rupees in Q3 FY25.
How did the full year FY25 standalone PAT look?
For the full year FY25, standalone PAT stood at 1,783.25 crore rupees. This is higher than the 1,657.77 crore rupees in FY24.
And the standalone EPS?
Standalone basic EPS for Q4 FY25 was 4.90 rupees compared to 5.07 rupees in Q4 FY24 and 5.36 rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, EPS was 21.07 rupees, up from 19.59 rupees in FY24.
Any notable other income on the standalone side?
Standalone other income for Q4 FY25 was 2.87 crore rupees, down from 5.43 crore rupees in Q4 FY24, but up from 2.03 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, it was 8.11 crore rupees, significantly down from 24.73 crore rupees in FY24.
So looking at profitability, what are the net profit margins telling us for both consolidated and standalone operations?
For Q4 FY25, the consolidated entity reported a net loss, so the net profit margin was negative, around negative 8.61%. For the full year FY25, the consolidated NPM was about 11.99%. On the standalone side, for Q4 FY25, the NPM was much healthier at approximately 23.83%. And for the full year FY25, standalone NPM was strong at about 25.82%. This clearly shows the parent company is quite profitable, but the consolidated picture is being dragged down significantly.
You mentioned an exceptional item in the standalone results. Can you shed more light on that?
Yes, the standalone financials for FY25 include an exceptional item gain of 19.78 crore rupees. This relates to the embezzlement of funds identified at its subsidiary, Manappuram Comtech and Consultants Limited or MACOM. The company states that this amount is considered fully recoverable from MACOM and they've entered into a settlement agreement. So it's treated as an income or recovery here in the standalone books of the parent.
Now shifting to the balance sheet. Any key highlights from the consolidated or standalone side?
On a consolidated basis as of March 31st, 2025, total assets stood at 49,204.70 crore rupees with total equity at 12,432.19 crore rupees. For the standalone entity, total assets were 39,835.56 crore rupees and net worth was 11,792.84 crore rupees. The standalone financials also provide some key ratios. The debt-equity ratio as of March 31, 2025 was 2.29 and the capital adequacy ratio was a comfortable 30.91%.
What about cash flows and dividends?
For FY25, the consolidated net cash flow from operating activities was negative 466.55 crore rupees. On the standalone side, net cash flow from operating activities for FY25 was negative 2,733.72 crore rupees. Regarding dividends, the board declared an interim dividend of 0.50 rupees per equity share for FY25 in this meeting. This is in addition to a fourth interim dividend of 1 rupee per share declared on February 13, 2025. So shareholders have received dividends.
Now this brings us to a crucial part: segment performance. The consolidated results paint a tough picture for Q4 and a weaker FY25. How did the different business segments contribute to this?
This is where the story becomes very clear. Manappuram has two main reportable segments, Gold Loan and Others and Microfinance. For the Gold Loan and Others segment in Q4 FY25, revenue was 1,850.33 crore rupees, with a profit before tax of 558.09 crore rupees. For the full year FY25, this segment brought in revenue of 7,340.55 crore rupees and a PBT of 2,476.64 crore rupees. This segment is performing robustly.
And the microfinance segment, which is primarily Asirvad Microfinance?
The microfinance segment is where the major issue lies. In Q4 FY25, it reported revenue of 512.92 crore rupees but posted a massive loss before tax of 793.97 crore rupees. For the full year FY25, revenue was 2,734.39 crore rupees, but it resulted in a significant loss before tax of 811.01 crore rupees. This compares to a profit of 621.64 crore rupees in this segment in FY24. So the microfinance segment has swung from a significant profit to a substantial loss, dragging down the entire consolidated performance.
That's a huge swing in the microfinance segment. What's behind this significant loss?
The primary driver for this poor performance in the microfinance segment and consequently the consolidated results is related to Asirvad Microfinance Limited. The notes to the financial statements mention that the Reserve Bank of India, or RBI, had issued a cease and desist order to Asirvad on October 17, 2024, effective from October 21, 2024, concerning its pricing policy, specifically weighted average lending rate and interest spread. While these restrictions were lifted on January 8, 2025, after Asirvad submitted its compliances, the period of restriction and the necessary remedial actions and provisions likely led to these substantial losses. The consolidated expenses show a very high impairment on financial instruments of 919.21 crore rupees in Q4 FY25 and 1,962.81 crore rupees for the full year FY25. This is likely where the impact of Asirvad's issues is largely accounted for.
So the consolidated PAT is down mainly because of the troubles in Asirvad. Are there any other significant notes or events we should be aware of?
Yes, a few. First, the embezzlement at MACOM, the IT subsidiary, amounting to 19.78 crore rupees. As mentioned, the company believes this is fully recoverable. Second, Manappuram Finance Limited is also making a strategic investment of up to 500 crore rupees in compulsory convertible preference shares of Asirvad Microfinance Limited, likely to shore up Asirvad's capital base after these events. Third, there were appointments and remuneration revisions. M/SKSR and Company Secretaries LLP were appointed as secretarial auditors for 5 years. Revisions in remuneration for Mr. Krach, VP Nanda Kumar, the Managing Director, and Dr. Sumita Nandan, an Executive Director, were also approved subject to shareholder approval. Lastly, regarding borrowings, as of March 31, 2025, the company's outstanding qualified borrowings stood at 14,274.98 crore rupees and they hold an A+ credit rating.
This is very detailed. Now, a critical aspect, the auditor's report. What did the auditors, KKC and Associates LLP and Chokshi LLP, say about these financials?
For both the consolidated and standalone financial results, the joint statutory auditors have issued an unmodified opinion. This means they believe the financial statements give a true and fair view in all material respects. The company also made a specific declaration to the stock exchanges about receiving unmodified audit reports.
An unmodified opinion is generally good news. Were there any emphasis of matter paragraphs or other matters highlighted by the auditors in the consolidated report?
Yes, in the consolidated auditor's report, there are two emphases of matter paragraphs. The first one draws attention to Note 10 of the consolidated financial results, which describes the embezzlement of funds at the subsidiary Manappuram Comtech and Consultants Limited, or MACOM, amounting to approximately 19.78 crore rupees. The auditors note that an independent consultant confirmed the extent of the embezzlement and that the company's management represents these funds as fully recoverable. The second emphasis of matter refers to Note 12, detailing the RBI's cease and desist order on Asirvad Microfinance regarding its pricing policy, which was in effect from October 21, 2024 to January 8, 2025. The note mentions that remedial actions were taken by Asirvad. It's important to understand that an emphasis of matter doesn't modify the audit opinion, but highlights issues that are fundamental to users' understanding of the financial statements.
And was there an other matter paragraph in the consolidated audit report?
Yes, there was. The auditor stated that the consolidated financial results include the audited financial results of 4 subsidiaries, which were audited by other auditors. These subsidiaries represent total assets of 10,874.20 crore rupees as of March 31, 2025, and total revenues of 3,187.19 crore rupees for the year then ended. They also accounted for a total net loss after tax of 574.60 crore rupees for the year. The auditor's opinion on the consolidated results insofar as it relates to these subsidiaries is based solely on the reports of these other auditors. This is a standard disclosure when multiple auditors are involved in a group audit, and given Asirvad's significant losses, it's a relevant point.
What about the standalone auditor's report? Any emphasis of matter there?
In the standalone auditor's report, there is one emphasis of matter paragraph. This again pertains to the embezzlement of funds at the subsidiary MACOM, amounting to 19.78 crore rupees, as detailed in Note 11 of the standalone results. The auditors highlight the company's management's assessment that this amount is fully recoverable. This is the same issue as the exceptional item gain we discussed in the standalone P&L.
So overall, the auditors are okay with the numbers but want users to specifically look at the MACOM embezzlement and the RBI's past action on Asirvad. Given all this, what's the outlook for Manappuram Finance?
Disclaimer: we advise investors to check with certified experts before taking any investment decisions. The outlook for Manappuram is mixed. The core gold loan business, as seen in the standalone results and the gold loan and others segment, remains robust and profitable. This is the company's mainstay and continues to perform well. However, the microfinance segment Asirvad has faced a significant setback. The lifting of RBI restrictions is positive, but the segment's path to recovery and sustained profitability will be crucial for the consolidated financials. The planned infusion of 500 crore rupees into Asirvad indicates the parent's commitment to supporting this subsidiary. The key risks revolve around the successful turnaround of Asirvad, navigating the competitive landscape in both gold loans and microfinance, and ensuring such internal control lapses like the MACOM embezzlement are prevented. The full recoverability of the embezzled amount also remains to be seen in practice, though management is confident.
So to summarize the key takeaways,
Manappuram Finance's standalone business, driven by gold loans, shows healthy profits and strong fundamentals. However, the consolidated performance for Q4 FY25 and the full year FY25 has been severely impacted by massive losses in its microfinance subsidiary, Asirvad, following RBI observations. This led to a net loss at the consolidated level for Q4. While the auditors gave an unmodified opinion on both sets of accounts, they did highlight the MACOM embezzlement and the RBI action on Asirvad as matters of emphasis. The company's ability to stabilize and grow Asirvad will be key to improving its consolidated financial health.
A very comprehensive analysis. It really highlights the importance of looking beyond headline numbers and digging into segmental performance and auditor notes.
Exactly. The divergence between standalone strength and consolidated weakness driven by a subsidiary's specific issues is the main story here for Manappuram Finance this year.
That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in.
Join us next time for more financial insights. Don't forget to subscribe.